represents a tiny portion of DNA. Not only is its structure very complicated, but it also carries information just like a computer chip. But as a carrier of information, the DNA is 45 million times more efficient than a megachip. If all the information in all the world's libraries could be put onto megachips, like the ones found in computers, it would require a pile of chips reaching to the moon. Yet, all that information, if placed on DNA, would need only 1% of the volume of a pinhead. Computer chips are cunningly designed. How much more the DNA molecule?
Dr. Albert Fleischmann, biologist.
The science of information theory tells us that information only comes from an intelligent source. Moreover, information is lost by chance changes. So mutations in living things cause a loss of genetic information. Therefore, no plant or animal could be the result of mutations, as neo-Darwinism claims.
The origin of man intrigues all of us. The Sunday Times for the 20th of August, 1995 reported, "The scientists themselves are confused. A series of recent discoveries has forced them to tear up the simplistic charts on which they blithely draw linkages from apes to man. The classic family tree delineating man's ascent from the apes, familiar to
Dr.
us
Albert
from schools,
Fleischmann,
has
biologist,
given way to the
University
concept
of
of genetic islands. The bridgework between them is anyone's guess."
paradigm is so powerful.
Genes from ethnic groups of mankind show that we come from one common ancestor. So no race is superior or inferior. The genes, the Y chromosomes of all
Molecular biologist in his book Evolution, a theory
scientists admit
in crisis.
we are all descended from one man. The genes in the mitochondria of all women are so nearly identical that scientists admit we are all descended from one woman.
Professor Louis Benoit,
Measurements
director
of the
of
actual
research at the
mutation
French
rates
National
of
Center of
mitochondrial
Scientific
DNA,
Research,
reported in Nature Genetics in 1997, lead to an estimate of some 6,000 to 10,000 years since the first woman. Previous estimates of 200,000 years have been based on evolutionary assumptions.
I reject evolution because I deem it obsolete. The foundationless, fantastic edifice of the evolution doctrine would long ago have met with its long-deserved fate, were it not that the love of fairy tales is so deep-rooted in the hearts of man.
Dr. Albert Fleischmann, biologist, University of Erlangen.
The hold of the evolutionary paradigm is so powerful that an idea which is more like a principle of medieval astrology than a serious 20th century scientific theory has become a reality for evolutionary biologists.
Dr. Michael Denton, molecular biologist, in his book Evolution, a Theory in Crisis.
Evolutionism is a fairy tale for grown-ups. This theory has helped nothing in the progress of science. It is useless.
Professor Louis Benoit, Director of Research at the French National Center of Scientific Research.
To suppose that the eye, with all its inimitable contrivances for adjusting focus to different distances, for admitting different light, and for the correction of spherical and chromatic aberration, could have been formed by natural selection seems, I freely confess, absurd in the highest degree.
Charles Darwin, in his book The Origin of Species.
The inner ear contains a labyrinth which enables us to keep our balance. In man, who stands on 2 feet, the labyrinth is more complex than in monkeys and apes, which are knuckle walkers. Scans of fossil skulls show the labyrinths of man and apes have always been distinct. Genuine human fossils, such as Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon, have rather larger brains than modern man. They are found associated with fine works of art. Neanderthals, who suffered from a deficiency of vitamin D, lived in northern lands during the Ice Age, which followed the flood. Apes are incapable of speech, and they do not paint pictures. Apes come from apes, and men come from men. Reconstructions of the fossil ape skull pictured in this display varied from ape-like to man-like, according to the prejudices of the artist. The Piltdown fraud was based upon a man's skull and an ape's jaw. It fooled the so-called experts for 40 years because they expected a half-man, half-ape. A tooth used in the infamous Scopes trial to prove we came from apes was later shown to have belonged to a pig.
The Bombardier beetle could hold the key to explaining the worldwide stories of fire-breathing dragons. This beetle defends itself when threatened by a predator, a spider maybe, by shooting boiling, noxious gases out of two nozzles at its rear end. The explosive blasts come at 500 bursts a second and make a loud crack. How, we ask? In special chambers, it makes hydrogen peroxide and the quinol, as used in liquid fuel rockets. At the moment of danger, it adds a sophisticated catalyst, which results in a spectacular explosive volley. Fortunately for us, the beetle is only an inch long. Consider, this defense had to be right from the start. It could not evolve gradually. Too weak an explosion, and the predator would eat the beetle. Too strong, and the beetle would blow itself up. Interestingly, some dinosaur skeletons have chambers in their skulls, resembling those of the beetle. In fact, tubes lead down to their nostrils. No wonder there are stories of fire-breathing dragons.